Hi everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ruben Amorim reveals two United stars who could miss the West Ham game. We'll be looking at who that could be. Has he already hinted who it is? Have we uncovered the secret he doesn't want to get out? Also, Conor Gallagher transfer talk. Is that going to be a move for Manchester United in January? And a lot more to get into the show tonight. We've also got updates on Sesko's return and a few other bits as well. As always, a little bit early tonight, but your show, as it always is on an evening show. So get your comments in, thoughts, things that are bothering you through the day. Let the debate begin. We are a little bit early because of Premier League games tonight as well. We'll be live on That's Football from 7:30. It was a fantastic night last night, but it's United's turn tomorrow. And we'll be starting off there because Man United could be missing not one, but two stars. And there could be a couple of hints about who that will be. It won't be Cunha, Garfield. Cunha's expected to start tomorrow, so it won't be him. But before we get into that, Cunha's returning to Manchester United and Air Up is returning to the United Stand. And we have got a 10% discount for you. Now, I love this. If you want to increase your water consumption, then Air Up is the way to go. So before we get into VAR meltdowns or transfers, you know how much I watch football. It's non-stop, streaming, reacting, prepping, editing. So staying hydrated matters, and Air Up is brilliant at this. It's plain water, but it tastes full of flavour through scent. So you just pop a flavour on the top. So I've popped a cherry flavour on the top there. Keep the bottle upright and take a sip. And through the power of scent, it feels like you're drinking the water, but you're getting a cherry taste to it. So no sugar, no additives, no fizz. You're just drinking water, but it feels like it's flavoured water. And I'll be honest, it's been right there with me all day, and we're very happy to have Air Up back. And on top of that, here's some I prepared earlier. We've got some of the flavours. So lemon and lime soda, blue raspberry, cherry, and then they've got these mocktails as well. Virgin Mojito, Virgin Colada, and Virgin Strawberry Daiquiri. So no alcohol in them, no additives in them, no sugar in them. Up your water game, hydration game in December. You know, a lot of people want to do that in December because they might be drinking a lot of something else. Check it out with Air Up, 10% off with the code Goldbridge. Link in the description or scan the QR code. These make a great Christmas present as well because you get a little box, you get the little flavours like I said. And really, at Christmas, it's hard to find presents to wrap up for people, isn't it? So a brilliant little Christmas present as well. Thank you very much to Air Up. I'll be hydrating myself regularly through this stream with the power of scent, cherry and water. Lovely stuff. Okay, let's get into the show. So this afternoon, thank you very much to Air Up. This afternoon, we spoke about... Maud spoke on the Amorim press conference about how there are two injury concerns for Manchester United tomorrow and how Ruben Amorim may need to change his plans. Starting on a positive, Sam C, a friend of the channel, he has reported this evening that Sesko is planning to be back for the Bournemouth game. This is a positive. I don't think he'll start that game, but obviously if he's back in contention for that game, a little bit like Martinez, you're on the bench, you get a few minutes, and then you're ready for the festive period. So mid-December, for Sesko means it's approximately a 5 to 6 week injury, which is probably what we were expecting, really. So a positive on Sesko. But who are these injuries for Manchester United? And has Amorim hinted anyway? Because he did say after the game against Crystal Palace that Bruno was nursing a strain, but he also said it wasn't that bad. And speaking to one of our contacts this evening, it's not believed to be Bruno. Now, if I knew who it was, I wouldn't say. Because as Amorim said, he doesn't want West Ham to know. And we are Manchester United fans. So we can talk about it, we can speculate, we can guess. But if somebody knows, they shouldn't be putting it out. Because at the end of the day, it might only be West Ham. It might be hammer time. But if we're missing two key players, then it weakens us. And we all saw what happened against Everton. So we shouldn't be making Nuno's jobs any better. Now, Greg Don says 100% it's Shaw. I don't know. I don't know whether it's Luke Shaw. What I do know is that the players were pictured at Carrington today and the club didn't release any pictures of Luke Shaw as far as I'm aware. I haven't seen any pictures of Luke Shaw. They've also been doing a lot of positivity around Luke Shaw this week. So is that a bit of preemption PR because he's going to be injured and the money's not going to go to charity again? I don't know. I have a feeling it won't be Luke Shaw because I think that's a little bit too obvious. I think there might be a bit of gamesmanship going on here. And also, it might just be Ruben Amorim and Manchester United doing what you call a spot check. You know, maybe you just drop it out there that there's a couple of people injured and see who reveals who it is to see if there's any leaks again. Because that has happened at United over the last 8 months. They have put a couple of things out there that haven't turned out to be true. I don't think it's Bruno Fernandes. I'd be very concerned if it was Bruno Fernandes, by the way. There's your agenda. If we didn't have Bruno tomorrow, it would worry me. Because as much as I don't like Bruno in the midfield, it's been evidenced multiple times. Remember Forest last season away? When Bruno doesn't play, we actually play worse. So I really do not want Bruno Fernandes to be injured. I want Fernandes to be replaced by better players. And that's probably going to be the transfer market. I do not want to be losing Bruno Fernandes at the moment because I think we could play worse without him. So I don't think it's Bruno Fernandes. I know he had a bit of a strain after the game on Sunday, but the guy's a robot. Like, he's never injured. So, I mean, he's not a robot and he could be injured, but I don't think it is, mainly because he's got such a good injury record. He'll play hurt. He's such an important player. And I think Amorim himself said after the game, it's nothing major. So maybe they're saying Bruno's one of them to sort of try and catch West Ham out, but I don't think it's Bruno. As for who it could be, look, I don't know. And if I did know, I wouldn't tell you anyway. But I think the hint is that it won't be any of the players that were pictured going to Carrington today because they all looked okay. So you've probably got to look at players that weren't pictured and start figuring it out from there. I think they will be players that played on Sunday. But who knows who it is. Who I don't want it to be is Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Dalot, and Mbeumo. I don't want it to be any of them players. And Ahmad, really. Those 5 and Lemens, 6. Those 6, I don't think we can do anything about. If they're out, I think that becomes problematic. But it won't be Cunha because I think Cunha's back. I don't think it will be him. If it's Dalot, we can play Dorgu. If it's Yoro, we can play Mazraoui. If it's Mazraoui, we can play Yoro. You know, if it's Mount, we can play Cunha. So there's certain people I don't mind it being, but I do not want it to be Bruno, Casemiro, Dalot, Ahmad or Mbeumo. I think those players are really important for us in a game like this with Cunha coming back as well. So let's see who it is. As I say, from the conversation I had this evening, I was told I'd be very surprised if it's Bruno Fernandes based upon, you know, what we already know. But look, let's wait and see. We have got a game on Monday. Some people think the Wolves game's more important. Would you risk a player with a knock to miss the game on Monday? We need to keep an eye on what Wolves do against Forest tonight as well, because some people are predicting a bit of a renaissance for them. But look, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people have said, oh, you know, Amorim gave them all a blueprint of a fitness plan in June and they've all come back and they don't get injuries anymore. We do get injuries. We've literally had quite a few injuries. Mazraoui, Cunha, Sesko, Maguire twice. We've had quite a few injuries this season and we've got another couple of knocks here as well. So whatever's going on, could it be Martinez again, says Amma. I mean, that would be devastating. I'd never even considered that. That would be devastating. And there's a lot of people out there talking. Man United official says apparently it's Mbeumo. I've not heard anything about that. So, and we shouldn't be putting it out there even if we know. We can guess. We can all speculate. We can all say who we want it to be or we don't want it to be. But remember, this could help West Ham if they know. What I will say is, if Amorim's not bluffing, I think they're probably going to be quite significant because you don't say we've got a couple of injuries that might change the way we want to play if it's Dalot and Yoro, because you don't change the way you play there, do you? You've got Dorgu at left wing back and you've got Mazraoui. So it could be significant. It could be nothing. It could just be a little bit of gamesmanship from Amorim as well. So let's wait and see. But look, we should have enough quality to be beating West Ham anyway, and it's good news about Sesko coming back as well. Get your comments in. Let me know your thoughts. I want to talk about Conor Gallagher now. So a lot of talk tonight, not really from credible sources, if I'm being completely honest, because it's regurgitation. A lot of talk tonight that Conor Gallagher wants to come back to the Premier League, that Manchester United would certainly be looking at him as the most likely deal to do in January or the most straightforward deal to do in January. The only barrier potentially is Atletico Madrid looking for a permanent deal rather than a loan deal. So a lot of talk about that tonight. This is not new news. This is not breaking news. It's news that's been out there before. Fabrizio Romano has revealed it on multiple occasions over the last 6 months that we tried to get Conor Gallagher in the summer on loan, and Atletico Madrid said no. So United, if they try for a player, means they want that player. So logically, we could be going back there. I'm still of the opinion, I don't know about you, I'm still of the opinion that if we are looking at bringing somebody in the midfield and it's Conor Gallagher or nobody, it's Conor Gallagher every day of the week. Obviously, we might have more players that we want to have a look at, but if that is the choice between him and nobody, then I would do that deal. The question is, multi-views on tonight, get in. The question is, would you spend money on that, or is it just a case of you do a loan deal? I mean, ideally, I'd be doing a loan deal. But look, we were talking this morning about Man United potentially saying that there isn't a deal they can do in January. There's not an opportunity. Well, we all know that's bullshit. And we all know that there are deals out there that can be done. You could sign Conor Gallagher for 26 million. You could potentially do a loan with an obligation to buy. There are options and opportunities in January. It's just whether Manchester United want to move through with those deals or not. Jacob said, could it be Mbeumo? He fell badly on his shoulder in the last game. Yeah, I'm not liking this talk, Jacob. And I think this is the wondrous thing about this community is that, you know, I am one man and I have one conversation about who it could be or couldn't it be from somebody who's very well informed. I then go live with you good people and you throw up possibilities that actually I was trying to think before the game who had a problem in the Palace game, and you're right. And Mbeumo did go down, but he played on for a long time afterwards. And Bruno had a bit of a problem at the end of the game as well. So I think that, you know, that could be interesting. If it's Mason Mount, that's his third injury of the season. So it can't be, you know, it can't be serious. If it's Mason Mount, we can't be serious. You know, I think I'll throw him a chair on the floor if it's Mason Mount. It can't be Mason Mount. That would be ridiculous. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Speculation is one thing. I also saw Mbeumo smiling walking into Carrington. So I'd be very surprised. I think anybody that's been photographed, it's unlikely if they're smiling that they're injured. And I think Mount was photographed, Dalot was photographed, and Mbeumo was photographed, Lemens. There was a few people that had photographs released. So I don't think it's Mbeumo. But, you know, the trouble is, in the uncertainty of the next 24 hours, speculation will be rife. Xerxes wasn't in the club photos either, but Mount is. So yeah, you know what? I didn't see Luke Shaw. I didn't see Bruno Fernandes. I didn't see a picture of Xerxes. So could it be one of those? I did see a picture of Yoro Jonathan, so I don't think it's him. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. You know, just because there's no photograph of them doesn't mean that they're injured. I saw a picture of Casemiro. He was in a tracksuit, so I did see Casemiro. If we're only signing 4 or 6 players a year and half of them are gambles, it's hard to see real progress. Amorim will need years to build a proper team, says Oliver. Thank you very much. Pezza says, and I'm not going to brush over that, Oliver. I think you're right. If we're only going to sign 4 or 6 players a year and half of them are gambles, then that means time as well, doesn't it? You know, that does mean prospects. That does mean patience. Exactly. What about this Mousakitis at Olympiacos? Thank you very much, Shaky. I want to talk about that for a couple of moments, just very, very quickly. There's a few interesting live chats coming in here as well. Pezza and Neo as well. I mean, we always have good live chats, but I've just spotted 2 or 3 I want to go back to. But let me just talk about this Mousakitis from Olympiacos. 18-year-old midfielder. Apparently, we've put a bid in for him, but Real Madrid wants him as well. £25 million. We haven't put a bid in for him. Unfortunately, Greek and Turkish reports don't tend to be that accurate. When we think about the summer, there was multiple bids that we put in for Turkish players that we didn't. So it's not a particularly reliable story, and it's very unlikely that Man United would go and spend £20 million on an 18-year-old who is not going to be ready. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's definitely not beyond the realms of possibility that Man United could go and do that, because Man United are obsessed with buying teenagers at the moment, prospects. But from what I've been told, there's nothing in that. In relation to JJ Gabriel, as we said this morning, we did speak about it this morning, Barcelona have been linked to him. Look, the facts about JJ is that I think he has actually put out a Instagram post with Manchester United and a love sign. I think somebody said that he'd done that anyway. But the bottom line is, there was a lot of clubs that wanted him and he signed a contract. I think it's only a contract that takes him to 16 because legally I think that's all you can do in this country. And if there is an opportunity to take him at 16 from Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG, because I think that's what we did with Obi and Heaven. I think you can't sign a 15-year-old on a long-term contract. You know, it's open season really when they're 16. Anybody can offer them a contract. So he could get taken away from us. It's a very real possibility. And in the summer, Manchester United were very, very concerned about it. And to be honest, what I was told is that the player and Man United were not 100% sure that it was a relationship that was going to continue. This fan base are desperate to keep him. You know, this is a generational talent that we want to see playing in a Man United shirt that we will nurture, look after, and, you know, give patience and time to. Jason Wilcox put a lot of work into that and he got the credit for it. And that was in the summer. There's been a bit of a resurgence of the story, but nothing has changed because there is no story to change because he can't go anywhere until he's 16. That will resurface again. There will, of course, still be interest in him. But as things stand at the moment, Man United are doing everything they can. They want to get him involved. He can't play in the Premier League until next season because of his date of birth, but I think he can play in the FA Cup. So we might well see him in the FA Cup. Slots dropped Salah again, says the watch-along lad. Yeah, I think that's probably the right thing to do. Prez says, I think it's Xerxes Mark because the predicted lineup has changed. Okay, I don't know where it's changed. Pezza says, why would you sign Gallagher when we have a better midfielder on the bench in Mainu? It's a very good point, Pezza, but factually, if Amorim likes Conor Gallagher, then you get Conor Gallagher. I agree with what you're saying. A lot of the chat will agree with it as well. But Amorim doesn't trust Mainu. So if Amorim says, I like Gallagher, he will use Gallagher more than he uses Mainu. So that's the logic behind it. I mean, we can all get lost on why we're not using Mainu, but that would be the logic. Garfield says Grock said it's Maguire and Cunha. Well, it's definitely not Cunha, and Maguire's already injured, so he's not one of the two. What do you think about this? Neo says Bruno injury might be a blessing in disguise. I do not agree with that. I really do not agree with that. I don't think that is correct at all. I think that I think Bruno Fernandes is such an important player for Manchester United that to gamble on it being better for us, I don't think so. I really don't. Grock said Bruno limped off against Palace. Yeah, we have spoken about that, Garfield. I don't know whether you've come in a little bit late, but Amorim did say after the game it's nothing serious, and Bruno Fernandes is never injured. So I think Bruno... Look, hopefully it's not Bruno. Gaz says, Amorim is a politician, sadly, tells us what we want to hear, but then goes and gives his mates unlimited playing time. Heard the youth team won in training. The hunger is there, but no development, says Gaz. Thank you very much for that. Has anyone seen Alex last 2 days sending a super chat? Think Mark misses him, says Gav. He was here yesterday. He was talking about bloody Pulisic again, hasn't he? Who is captain if Bruno's out, says Pendy. I think the captain for Manchester United... Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it is Casemiro, because I don't think Dalot is actually on the leadership team for Manchester United. So that's my understanding anyway. I don't think he is. So I think that it would be Casemiro if that was the case. Interesting comment also from Amorim in the press conference about Dalot. He said he can do even better. I love it when somebody says they can do even better, because the use of the word even makes it sound like they're doing well already. You know, it's a bit like Messi scoring a hat-trick and saying, you know what, he can do even better. He can do even better does not go with Dalot, because he's not doing well in the first place. He should have said he can do better. He can do even better suggests that he's already doing well, which he's not. I mean, he played okay on Sunday. You know, agenda needs to be parked at the door. He did okay on Sunday. I'm I'm tempted to knock down the 6.5 player rating I gave him, because I think sometimes when players that consistently play poorly play okay, you're tempted to say they had a good game. It's very deceptive. But no, he hasn't done well. So Amorim saying he can do even better is a bit of a falsity. But he says when he has a good match, you see that he's capable of it. And sometimes his level drops a bit. If you look at our team, everyone's a bit like that. He's powerful. He's good on set pieces. He can play on both sides. He's very important to us. But like all the others, he has to improve. I mean, who are we talking about here? Did he mid-sentence start talking about somebody else? Did he start talking about Ahmad? I mean, because he's powerful, Dalot. He's good on set pieces. Is this the guy who on the back post stands there like a bloody snowman? What's he good at set pieces? I don't recognise that. He can play on both sides. Well, he definitely can't play on the left, and he struggles on the right. He's very important to us as a bench player, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the glow up there is from Amorim, apart from the fact that he loves bloody Dalot. But I don't get that. I think he will be playing tomorrow, and he did play he played okay against Palace. But come on, if Dalot's going to be the future and a key player for us, I think the future's not bright, and it's definitely not orange. Also, this was from Rob Dawson, actually. I hadn't read this. Somebody just drew my attention to this. Amorim revealed that he has 2 injury doubts ahead of the game, one of which could be Bruno, who is nursing a knock. He looked to be in discomfort towards the end of the 2-1 win over Palace. Amorim revealed that he has 2 other injury doubts, and it could be Bruno Fernandes. So, yeah, we've spoken about that already. Somebody just said Ugarte's future in doubt. Stories tonight as well, that he could be leaving in January or the summer. I don't think Xerxes going anywhere. Yeah. And also, just back on the injuries, by the way, whoever the 2 players are, we'll have to wait and see if they are injured. But remember, an injury can be a knock and they just miss out, or it can be 4 weeks. So remember the AFCON's coming up as well. I saw somebody in the chat say, let's hope it's Mbeumo and Ahmad, and it's a couple of weeks. I mean, I'd never even thought of it like that. If it was Mbeumo and he was out for a couple of weeks, would you rather miss Mbeumo for West Ham, Wolves and Bournemouth, but he's back for Villa, Newcastle in the Christmas period because he doesn't play in the AFCON? I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but somebody in the chat did say that. With regards to Ugarte, I mean, I don't know. Again, to me, it just seems a little bit obvious. I don't know the source of the story, but of course Ugarte's future at Manchester United is bleak. He's not trusted by the manager who had him at Sporting. I mean, how many times have we seen managers come in and bring players in that they've played with before, or utilise players that they've played with before? You would have thought in a weak midfield, Ugarte would be, one of the first names on the team sheet. And I think Amorim did give him that opportunity in the first couple of months that he came here. And for whatever reason, Amorim doesn't trust him anymore. So if you are Ugarte, and you were bought by Ten Hag and Ineos, and apparently Ten Hag wasn't too hot on it, you've got a £60 million flop on your hands. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's an issue. Of course, Ugarte is an issue. I think the last time he came on, he cost us 2 goals, didn't he, against Spurs? I think he was responsible or involved in that. So, look. What I would say about Ugarte is if anything happens to Casemiro, he will use Ugarte ahead of Mainu. So he has got opportunities, but you do feel in the long term, that doesn't mean he's not going to get minutes, he's not going to get opportunities, I think he will do, but you do feel in the long term that he probably is in a bit of jeopardy with regards to his future at Manchester United. I would have thought so, yeah. Garfield's gifted a membership in the chat. Legends, thank you very much. Deepal says he's good at long throws, set pieces. Yes, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I even saw Mikel Arteta talking about Declan Rice being really good at long throws. And look, for me, it's a dagger in the heart. I cannot stand long throws. I'm of a certain age where Wimbledon used to do this in the 90s and were ridiculed for it. Stoke used to do it and were ridiculed for it. And now we're meant to celebrate long throws like it's an evolution of football. For me, it's shit. It's basic. It should be banned. I hate it. Throwing a ball as far as you can, hoping it deflects off somebody into the goal. I mean, this is not what I was taught as a kid. This is not total football. There are footballing gods who are turning in their graves at the prospect of the long throw-in being a part of modern football. But, you know, those people who are responsible for it, you know, it is part of the modern game. I find it repulsive, but we're not the only club doing it. And Amorim's right. If he's talking about Dalot being good at set pieces, you've absolutely nailed it, Deepal. I can't understand what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about, the long throw. I mean, God, does it not irritate anybody else that Dalot probably plays because he's basically our Delap? He's basically a guy who can throw the ball far, so he gets in the United team. I mean, I just find that, I find it ridiculous I find it ridiculous that that's what football is at the moment. Launching a long throw-in into the box. You've got to be of a certain age, though, because I do see some people in the chat saying, I quite like it. I haven't got a problem with it. But if you grew up, or you're around my age, it used to be ridiculed. And I still feel like that way about it. I don't care whether it's us doing it, Arsenal doing it, Real Madrid doing it. I am completely and utterly feeling the same about all of them. I think it's a joke that clubs that have got millions and millions of pounds a week in wages are resorting to launching a throw-in into the box where they've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen. It's basically just chuck it in there and cause chaos. It's not running past 4 players and putting it in the top corner, is it? It's not a 20-pass move goal, is it? It's chuck it in there and hope it deflects off somebody and goes in. I mean, a pub team can do that. That's how basic it is. It's effective, but it's basic, and that's why I don't like it. I want to see football that I go, I couldn't do that. I couldn't coach that. You know, I want to see elite football. I don't want to see something I could get a pub team to do on a Sunday morning. Amorim is a politician. I've done that one. Thank you very much. But look, we all have our intricacies and thoughts. Keel says Amorim is full of bull. You will all see this soon. Okay. RJ says it's just a long throw-in, not a war crime. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, you're right. But I am repulsed by it. You tell me. Like, I mean, it's probably something for people who aren't watching live or come back and leave a comment. What one thing in football irrationally winds you up? So don't say VAR, because we all know that. Don't say refereeing. We all know that. What thing that's part of the game, like, you know, what's part of the game that irrationally winds you up? And long throw-ins in the modern game absolutely pisses me off. I don't like the goal kick. I don't like this. I don't like the kickoff either, where everybody is on one side of the pitch like a game of rugby and boots it. I really don't think that works that often. I really don't. I think, you know when United do it, it goes back to Lemens and he boots it long and we might win a throw-in in their half. I personally think if you pass the ball to Bruno, give it to the fullback, who gives it to a midfielder, who gives it to Ahmad on the wing, you're almost as far as the where you've kicked it anyway, and you've got possession. I find a couple of things in the modern game really weird. Launching long throw-ins and launching long kicks from the kickoff. And you know what it is? It's percentages. Some analytical data twat has gone, yeah, I've analysed all the information, yeah, and basically, rather than throwing it to the fullback and keeping possession, there's statistically, and I've pumped it through the data, statistically, throwing the ball aimlessly into the penalty box has a 5% more chance of scoring a goal than throwing the ball to a player and keeping possession in your own half. So let's throw it in there. Also, kickoffs. If you kick the ball and boot it aimlessly as far as you can and put pressure, there is a 2.6% chance that you might win it up higher the pitch, meaning that the higher up the pitch you are, the more chance you have of scoring a goal. And I'm like, I think that's it. I actually think this is data analysis in football, taking it away from the purists. I agree with Bruno. It's so fucking robotic. Sometimes I think, like, take your fucking data and shove it up your arse, you bloody geeks, and actually get out and bloody kick a ball around on the grass and see if you learn anything from that, rather than your bloody data, you know? But, you know, that is how I feel about it. Long throw-ins and long kickoffs. It's anti-football. It's anti-football. I'm a purist. I want to see the ball on the ground. I want to see good goals. I don't want to see a fucking long throw-in flicking off somebody's arse and going in the net and everyone going, yeah, what a great goal. I'll go, yeah, a goal, but I'll go, what a shit goal. You know, it's not Paul Scholes volleying it in from 30 yards, is it? It's not David Beckham whipping a crossing and a Dwight York diving header. It's a Dalot rocket launching throw that flicks off the arse of Harry Maguire or a defender. Oh my God! Put it on goal of the week. You know. Statistically on league goals, John Terry is a better attacking player than Iniesta, says Shahin. This is where data gets really scary. Anyway, I've got to go. I saw Amorim's potential in the final against Spurs, says M. Parker. Richarlison's chicken dance gets on my nerves, Evan Whelan. How many foul throws do we see all the time, says Mark Holder. Thank you very much. I've got to, I would have stayed on my high horse for a very long time there, but I've got to get over to the Premier League watch along, which will be good fun. So we'll continue that conversation on there because I think it's a good conversation to continue. Don't forget to check out Air Up, 10% off with the code Goldbridge. Hydrate yourself with, just pop it on your flavours and fantastic. And they make great gifts as well. So links in the description or scan the QR code. You make me belly laugh so much, you legend. The voice, I can't. The voice will be back on That's Football. I'll speak to you in a bit. 5 minutes.